Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another episode of Music Biz Chat. This is where I look at vinyl and CD sales. As you know, I am multi-format man, and Now Spinning Magazine is all about physical media. So I support all formats. In this episode, I'm going to be looking at CD sales, vinyl sales for the last quarter of 2024, what can be expected, what the record labels are looking at, what is of interest to them, how things are going, and what sales are like compared with last year. But I'm also going to be looking at it from the point of view of being a musician in 2024, what it's like to be a musician, not just about record labels or all the people that make money out of musicians. So I want to also give advice to up and coming bands, etc., and also probably people who've been musicians for a long time. So much has changed with the music business, and for us as fans, we kind of can't help it, if you're in my vintage, to look back and say, compare it with what it was like. It is so different now. There is still a music business, but it doesn't always look after the bands. There are some labels that really do and really do care. That's by saying that, it makes it sound like there are some labels that don't. But at the end of the day, this is a commercial enterprise. Everybody is trying to make money to pay their bills, no matter who they are. Right, first of all, let's have a look at what's going on within the actual UK album market in respect to what's selling. Because I know people have been sending me videos from all over the place saying that the vinyl bubble has burst, etc. It's a bit like when I worked in marketing with SEO, people who say SEO is dead, the music business is dead, no one buys albums anymore. Well, they are. But anyway, what's going on in quarter four, which is where we are now in the UK at the time of me doing this. So the record business is getting quite excited about what's going on, because we've had The Cure at the time of doing this have just had their first number one album in 32 years, and the consumption so far has been 40,918 sales to get to number one, including 36,970 physical copies. There were 2,800 downloads, which is amazing, really, and 1,110 streams. So for new albums selling in the first few weeks of them coming out, physical sales are a huge part of what goes into the chart, okay? And this is important with how labels view this. Now, still to come, there's Linkin Park and all sorts of things. So how does streaming matter? What matters most, physical media or streaming to the record labels? Now, Music Week in the summer revealed that combined physical unit sales are on course for their first year-on-year increase for 2 decades. Vinyl alone has been, much of this rise has been because of vinyl. Now, based on retail revenue, physical sales have been on an increase since 2021, a feat repeated in 2023, with a growth of 10.9% to 311 million. Not 2022, because it went down by 4% then. Now, according to the BPI, stats for label revenue, the UK's physical music market increased by value by 12.8% in 2023 to £243.4 million. That's the highest level for 6 years. Now, physical music sales were responsible for just under 20% of the total revenue generated by the UK recorded music market. I'm going to say that again. Physical music sales were responsible for just under 20% of the total revenue generated by the UK recorded music market. Now, the value of the UK's vinyl LP market increased by 18.6% in 2023 to £141.6 million. That's more than 10 times what it was worth 10 years ago. In fact, more vinyl albums were sold in the UK in 2023 than any year since 1990. So, I mean, that is amazing, isn't it? More albums, more vinyl albums were sold last year than any year since 1990, which is when the 90s, of course, when many of us of a certain age got rid of a lot of our records. So sales have been growing for 16 years. Now, while vinyl sales even, generated higher revenue in 2023, more CDs were also sold. So CDs also went up last year, almost 11 million, compared with 6.1 million vinyl albums. 11 million CDs compared with 6.1 million vinyl albums. Now, CD revenue in the UK is growing again. CD revenue is growing again, rising by 5.4% to 97.2 million in 2023. So the CD format is not dead where I am in the UK, because £97.2 million is not small change, is it? Of course, physical media is now much reduced part of overall recorded music market. Even if it's getting more lucrative as vinyl prices increase, which I'm going to come on to, 2023 shows physical revenue at £311 million represents just 14% of the total music business market. So even at 311 million, it's still only 14%, with streaming accounting for 84.1%. Downloads are in there somewhere, but downloads make no sense. I don't understand why anyone downloads anything when you can just stream it or buy a physical copy. But streaming is in there. Downloads are in there, but they are literally on life support now. Now, Kim Bailey, CEO of Digital Entertainment Retail, part of ERA, and she says, the days when good old Q4 release slate was a matter of life or death. Now, think about this. What she's saying here is that many of us remember that the run up to Christmas was when everyone wanted to get their albums out. There were new box sets, there were new releases, the Christmas market. Everyone's going to go out and buy the new release by a certain album. Those days have gone. You've probably noticed it, haven't you? That when you look about what's coming out before Christmas, it all seems to have gone quiet already. It's not your imagination, it really has. Now, while new releases are the lifeblood of the music business, no one takes out a streaming subscription because of a release of a particular album, do they? You don't decide to stream because your favourite band's going to release an album. You just subscribe. So that means that the streaming kind of revenue that record labels get is just there. It's more predictable. They know roughly what's going to happen. And this is an interesting statistic as well. Last year, even in the last part of the year, which was the build-up to Christmas, 60% of all the physical sales came from catalogue. Now, what I mean by catalogue is this is back catalogue. This is reissues. This is stuff that already exists. This is people watching Stranger Things and deciding to buy a Kate Bush album. This is catalogue. This isn't new releases. So physical revenue certainly will benefit from what goes on, Q4, etc. But much is still catalogue. And the entire physical market accounted for less than 20% of the overall sector last year. So that's really interesting. I don't think there's any other stats I want to show you that really. Yes, there is. According to the BPI, physical sales 2023, Q4's total of 5.7 million accounted for 33.5% of the annual sales. Now, the mix of formats, the skew for Q4 2023 shows vinyl quarterly sales around 35%, while CDs were at 32.5%. So vinyl and CD live very happily next to each other. So for those of us who love buying physical media, our hobbies are intact. I said I was going to mention things like prices and stuff because vinyl is going up. I was in HEV yesterday, and they had shelves where they were doing a spotlight on Taylor Swift's records. There wasn't one of them that was beneath £49.95 for 50 quid. And there's quite a few new releases that were like 50 quid, £40, and quite a few CDs are around 17, £18 now, or 3 for 65. But what I'm trying to say there, it's not an impulse buy anymore, is it? It's not an impulse buy, and the price of box sets is not an impulse buy. But also, because this niche of people that buy physical media is smaller, there are less things being made. So when the record labels sit around the table to put their project together, what they're going to do, they work out how much it's going to cost, what they need to put in, what they perhaps could take out to save a bit of money, and then they work out how they're going to get back that money and what would be seen as a good profit for that, and then that's how many they make. And then out it goes, and after the first splurge of reviews and you know, where it's in the kind of profile of social media, it's being shared, etc. If they sell them all and they've got their money back and they made a bit of a profit, they're done. Now, for us fans, a lot of us can suddenly realise we've missed out on something because it's disappeared. Some labels, Cherry Red are a really good example, they'll repress it because they're thinking like that. But for other bigger labels, the little team of people that got together to put that project together, it's done, they made the money, everything's done, and they moved on. The fact that there might be a few thousand fans around the world that missed out is like, maybe they'll license it to a smaller label later on, but as far as they're concerned, they've done it. The other thing I want to mention as I've been talking like this, all the stats I've been giving you are about the record labels making money, how many sales, how many revenue. Now this comes down to, now I want to talk about you as musicians, those of you who are in bands, because what has become apparent as I have been doing this, you know, being the editor of Now Spinning Magazine, and how it's grown, not just on this YouTube channel, but the website and all the social media channels and all the contacts I've made and all the people I talk to, is that everybody seems to be making money. Not everyone, but so many people make money out of the musician who's releasing that CD and wants people to buy it. They could be advertising on Facebook. So Facebook are making money out of the musicians. The CD case, the CD cover, the CD booklet, they've already been paid for. So those people have made money out of the musician. The PR company that's sending memos out to me to say, listen, there's a new album here, would you like to review it? They've been paid in advance. The recording studios have been paid. The people selling the instruments have been paid. The people doing the website, everyone has been paid, usually by the musician. Even if it's the record label, if some bands have got record labels, everything that the record label does for the musician is recoupable. They will get that money back. So and at the end of the day, when it comes down to us as fans, we go, well, God, that vinyl album's 25 quid or that CD's £18 and you don't want to pay it. It shouldn't be more than 10 quid. The person at the end of the line who's looking to make that money is the musician. And they've had to pay everyone else out. Well, there's so many people, the managers, the publisher, everybody has their share in advance, apart from the musician. But whereas there are some people who say that the music business is completely broken, it exists. And as I've said in the stats earlier in this video, there is a huge amount of money being made by people selling vinyl and CD. What is really different, though, is that when I was a lad growing up, people became musicians because they wanted to become rock stars. And one of the things about becoming a rock star, and I know a lot of people say it's because they want to become a musician, a creative force, and do good for the world. A lot of people wanted to become musicians because they wanted to have big cars, big houses, and travel the world. And you could do that, and you could drive your Rolls Royce into a swimming pool and put it down to expenses. Those days have long gone, and getting massive advances from the label. Because then you would get signed. All you had to do was just concentrate on writing your music, recording your music, and hoping that someone will sign you, give you a salary, give you an advance, put you up in a house somewhere, sell your records, put you on tour, give you tour support, do everything for you. All you had to do was turn up and play. Those days have gone. A record label now isn't interested in finding you an audience. They expect you to already have one. This is why so many bands like When Rivers Meet are independent. Because what is the label actually doing for you? So there are lots of arguments here, but I would say that what is really different is just being a musician. And I don't mean that just being a musician. I know you've got to play, you've got to practice. Some people practice for hours on end and writing your music, etc. Go on tour, you come off stage and you're tired. But now you have to be a media and creative person as well. You've got to be able to, as soon as you come off stage, you've got to be down on the merch stall, meeting your fans, not hiding away somewhere in the dressing room, hoping that the rider has given you some M&Ms or the green ones taken out and whatever. It is literally, you've got to be out there with your fans, getting to know them, building relationships, and then you've got to be taking pictures to put on social media, on your Instagram account, on Facebook. You never have a chance to actually switch off. And I think I'm saying all of this for music fans as well, to realize how much it's changed. So when you say to one of your favorite musicians on Facebook, when have you got a new album coming out, and their band say, "Oh, we don't know yet, we're not sure," they're not being awkward. They're actually trying to work out whether it's worth doing another album, because this is a unique art form that in a way is sold in a way that's quite weird. Think about it. I'm going to release an album that it's cost me a few £1,000s to make, that I've created the booklet, I've taken the photographs, I've written the lyrics, I've learned, we've rehearsed, we've recorded it in a studio, had it pressed, etc. And then I'm going to ask you to pay for it, knowing at the same time that you could listen to it completely all the way through for free. And then I want you to either buy vinyl for about £35 or the CD for about 15, 20 quid. But you could play the whole thing for free. This is a very, very strange kind of relationship in releasing a product. I think it's unique, isn't it? You know, it's really, really strange. So the only reason you're going to buy the CD or the vinyl, bearing in mind you could listen to it for free. A lot of people have got network streamers. They stream it in the car, on their phones, through Bluetooth speakers, and you've got a good DAC. You can make these things sound really, really good anyway. So you're going to buy it because you can touch it and you can sit there and flick through the booklet. There has to be more than that for this to work going forward. So, and again, this is 14 to 20% of the market, these physical sales. Those days, so trying to become a full-time musician based on that element is not really doable. So it's part of it, but it can't be all of it anymore. My feeling is, for musicians, is that what you need beyond that is your YouTube channel. You need a Bandcamp page. And you need Patreon, because the future now, not the future, the present, and how bands are making a living, and many of them are, there's some great music coming out, is that you need to look at subscription. People who are buying in as literally joining a community, joining a club, being part of something. And by doing that, they get the album. They get a special offer on a signed copy of the vinyl album, or they probably get the CD as part of their subscription service. And then through YouTube, you've also got a chance that once you pass over the 1,000 subscribers mark, you start to get a little bit of advertising. And there's nothing wrong with this. So bits of advertising from your website, etc., subscription from Patreon, Bandcamp, of course, you've got control on the downloads and merch, etc. And then, of course, you've still got the chance of selling CDs, etc. But I think these are important factors. And the reason I'm putting this in this video is that for us as music fans, don't just see it as, I'm going to buy it from Amazon, who take sometimes up to 40% of what you're seeing as a price. Don't just think, oh, it's a band, I don't stream, or I don't, I try and stay off screens. I just want, is this band bringing out an album? Go to their Bandcamp page. What else have they got going on? Go to their Patreon page. Can you support them? Can you just drop in and out and see how you can be involved? And for the bands themselves, it's, bands that have on their website, like pages showing the fans holding up the album, etc., meet and greet after the gigs, etc. And also for gigs. A lot of bands might have 500, 600 really uber dedicated, passionate fans, but they're probably spread all over the world. So just putting on a gig at a town just down the road from you, that dedicated bunch of 600 Uber fans, they won't be going to that gig. You probably get none of them. They don't live nearby, and you play a gig, you've got to get all the lights again, the PA, all these people get paid regardless, and it's musician again, people making money out of the musicians. And then you get there and only 20 people are there and they're talking at the bar. It's disheartening. Again, thinking about streaming to your Patreon page or streaming to YouTube so you can be global and get more people to come in using the chip jar or people being involved, seeing each other in the chat, being able to talk to each other between the numbers. This, again, is another part of the way the music business is changing. But these are all things that the musician themselves can be more in controlling. I myself, and this will be a separate video, I'm talking like this because I'm realizing it myself. But Now Spinning Magazine, for me to make this work, for this to blossom as a project, I have to think about how being involved in the music, when everyone's saying there's no money around, how do I do it? And I'm trying to do it through Patreon, people subscribing because they want me to carry on doing this. They want to be involved behind the scenes, and a bit of advertising also from YouTube and the website, etc. You have to kind of open up to different ways of doing things. And of course, bands can do lots of handwritten notes and autographs and stuff, and put together really beautiful packages which they can sell via Bandcamp or via Patreon to their special fans and interact with them. So in a way, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, Threads, whatever, are all part of your marketing pouring back into Patreon, YouTube, Bandcamp. If you go to a record label, because you need it, because they can press things and give you that little bit of oomph, fine. But remember that the music business is working, but it's all about, when I read out their stats at the start, they're all talking about how much money they are making. Not once is anyone talking about how much the artists are making. The good news as I finish this is that physical media is alive and well. But that niche means that there are compromises and we are seeing changes. So we are seeing releases coming out with very short print runs. The days of waiting for something to drop in price after it being on Amazon for 6 months have gone. It will just be gone. So if you want something, go get it. And if you want your band, your favorite group of musicians to continue to create the music that you love, support them. Go and find them on social media. Share, like, subscribe to them, help them, buy a single, buy a beanie hat, whatever it is they're doing to try and keep themselves ticking over to keep going. See if you can help. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Take care, all of you. And of course, support Now Spinning Magazine. You can buy merch. Again, you can support what I do here through becoming a Patreon YouTube member. And all of us together are part of something that's a wonderful community. So stay safe, keep spinning those discs, and I'll see you all very, very soon.